Hi, I'm Matt with Hoboken Horology, and today we're talking about the Bulova Chronograph C. Here we have the Bulova Chronograph C, and this is such an interesting watch, and I'd like to go through a few things. I'd like to go through the box and what the Bulova Chronograph C comes with, and I'd like to go through each part of the watch. So the case size and the dimensions of the case, this is a rather large watch, and I'd like to cover that last. And the reason I want to cover that last is because if I talk about the case size, I believe a lot of people are going to check out early on this watch review. So I'm going to save that for last, and I think what we'll start with is the dial. Now, I don't want to draw too many comparisons to the original shown here, but I do want to say that this dial is well balanced. And one of the reasons that online people have said that it is so large, the case, is that the dial needs to be balanced for the movement. This is Bulova's movement. I believe either the movement is their 262 kilohertz movement. It is a very smooth. You can see that this second hand almost goes. It seems to go twice within a second, but the chronograph itself moves very, very smoothly. I mean, it's fantastically smooth. It runs fantastic. But the hands, it's great having this chronograph hand. It reminds me of the Mark II, the Speedmaster Mark II hand, that thick orange hand that they have there. These hands are these, horrible stick hands that you see on almost every watch, but they have this great red arrow on the side. It's a very very immature kind of design, thinking of what you would think of trying to a kid drawing a watch would put the really elaborate arrows on the ends of it. But for this watch, it works fantastic because of the colors. The colors are great. That blue is such a matte blue on there. And the Bulova, and I usually say Bulova, the Bulova logo is the older one, and it's just such a fantastic look to it. I mean, it really stays true to the original. They didn't do this old lume. It's as white as they could get the dial. It does charge nicely. It's really sensitive. If I held a flashlight around, it's sensitive enough that it traces exactly where the flashlight was. And the dial, as you could see, it does the 10th of a second. So this will go around one entire revolution, this dial, for every second. So if you count it, you can see that it makes one full revolution each second. Now, it does stop once it gets to the 30-second mark to save the battery. And here we have our seconds, and here is our minutes. Now, a common thing for this is that the original went up to 12 hours. I could do an entire video talking about chronographs and talking about measuring time with a chronograph, and I really do think that I usually don't like this, and it's one of the things that I really didn't like about the Moon watch from Bulova. But I will say that on this watch, because it's so elaborate, because of the colors, it is really interesting when I'm doing timings, and I did a few at work today, that I can do that, and I could see that it's just running right there like that. It's such a cool complication. So as we move on, let's go on to we talked about the dial, this old kind of vintage style dial, the tachymeter around the side, these little indices. It reminds me of my protractor when I'm doing design work. It shows it like it's exactly like how it looks on there. Those marks are so precise. Let's go into the case. So this case is rather large, and I gotta say that it is such a nice finish to it. This feels great. Like, it feels so nice on my thumb there. I actually have a little plastic still on there. This bezel, as other reviewers have said, it feels like it should move, but it doesn't. It really is it's a stand. It's a fixed bezel. This doesn't bother me. I don't understand why it was brought up in other reviews like that. Now, before I talk about the band, I'm going to talk about the band that I have on here, the NATO strap. I'm going to talk about the band and the bracelet that this watch came with. but hopefully I'm not making you guys sick with this focusing. But I want to go into the box and what you get in the box, because I have a lot to say about, look at how tight this is. I have a lot to say about this lugless design, but I gotta say, it looks like an alien ship. It looks great. It's got this cool round look. I mean, what other watch today that's come out in the recent year or two that looks like this, looks like a plate like this? Omega would do something like this as a vintage piece, but who else makes this? Like, this is such a unique watch design. Lugless, it's round. I'd love to take this NATO strap off and show you, but I can't. I'll show you why. Let's go into the packaging. I actually don't hate this box. It's actually really nice. I will never store my watch in this box. I only do that with Nomos. Nomos has these great little boxes and this great travel pouch. I put my Nomos back in its, I don't put it with the other watches. I actually put it back in its little travel pouch because I love their packaging. So this will never be used again, but I gotta say, this box is really nice. It's solid. It feels like a hard plastic or some kind of a wood. It's even got this nice kind of gripping material on the bottom. I open it up, and here, this is the goods. This is the goods. This is what we came here to talk about. A horrible little instructions book. I actually flipped through it. It was terrible. So this is the least thing that I like about this is this strap, and I actually thought I would never use it, and but I have to say that it's not a bad option for this watch. I mean, other than putting a black strap on this, which I don't think is really right for this watch, it's not bad. It's funny, they put this little thread on here, and that's because, look at this, they don't have to put this thread on here, but they did, because so many of those custom wrist bands that people buy on the internet, they all have that custom made threading through there. So Bulova did it, or Bulova did it so that you would think that it was like a custom band or something, but I'll never use this. But I will say that I would like to put a deployment clasp on this, and I would like to use this for another watch. Another blue-faced watch that's 20 mils across. This bracelet is really nice. I actually am really happy with this. They give you so many links, it's ridiculous. Like, the amount of links that this bracelet has is outstanding. It's amazing. I can't imagine someone being so big that they would, I mean, it's huge. I mean, I could almost wear almost just this as a watch alone. It's crazy. But this is really nice. The clasp is, this kind of cheap stamped, but it's got this nice beading sandblasted finish or whatever they call this kind of finish is fairly nice. The sizing is pins. It's an old pin bracelet. The kind of, you still see these on these kind of watches. The pins. We've moved on to screw links with a lot of other watch manufacturers, but I'm going to talk about this bracelet a lot because this is very true to the original, and that is something that you've got to give them, is that they looked at the original and they manufactured a band that was very, very close to it. Now, I've got to say something great about this band is that it came with curved spring bars, and that's what I used on my NATO. There's a reason for that. This guy is impossible to get on. I spent a half hour last night with a toothpick trying to fish this in, using my wooden dowels, trying to fish that in. It would not work. What I had to actually do is I had to hold the band up against the watch and then put the spring bar on over the band. Now, mind you, I don't care if I break a spring bar because this is a NATO strap. I won't lose the watch. If I break a spring bar, I will not lose the watch. So it's okay that it's really tight like this. If this was leather and I felt like it was about to give out, I would never wear it. I was afraid of, my IWC was like that. I felt like the spring bar was going to fail on me, so I was a bit worried about it. So this is nice. I was actually thinking about losing this piece, but this band, the striping from the watch, from the dial, from this chronograph second hand, that goes all the way down to the red, to the white subdials, to the blue on the outskirts, to the blue that matches this. I really do believe that this is the best NATO that you could get to match the colors of this beautiful dial. I mean, I almost think they should have had a really nice Bulova made NATO that they threw in with the bracelet instead of this guy. But you know, I think people want the leather. But to sell a watch and to sell it with both the bracelet option and the leather option as just something the watch comes with, it's just fantastic. Now, it also comes with this great little tool, but I've got to talk about this in the outro, in the next take, because I've got a lot to say about this tool. Okay, so there's a few things I just wanted to cover about this watch that I think deserve kind of, you know, extra special attention. The first thing is that this is a very, very large watch. This is 46 millimeters across. Now, the only defense I can say to that is two things. The first thing is the original was 43 millimeters across, which at the time was amazingly large. And if I pull out a Disney's, I mean, this is, here, here's a 40, roughly a 40 mil quartz watch. You can see the difference between these two. And I will say that this is massive. It feels massive. It wears its size. I think that if I wore it on the bracelet, it might wear a little bit better, but I don't think it'd be more comfortable than my NATO. That being said, I actually like the size. I wear a Nomos watch. I wear my newest Nomos watch I wear all the time, and that's roughly 36 millimeters, 35 and a half. And I've gotten used to wearing smaller watches. I have a lot of vintage watches I wear all the time. None of them are even close to 40. Most of them are 36 to 38. So I am used to smaller watches, but I'm getting used to this. I'm getting used to wearing a large watch. Having a large watch, people are definitely going to notice it more. Not that that's really why you don't wear a wristwatch to get noticed. That's not why you wear watches. I'm sure that's not why I wear watches, but you will get noticed wearing something like this. I used to get a lot of attention with my Breitling Navitimer, or the Breitling Navitimer Cosmonaut on the bracelet, because it was so shiny. There was so much, there were so many, the whole thing was polished. The bracelet was polished, the case was polished. And wearing this reminds me of that. Like, I would get looks in elevators when I wore that, and this is it reminds me of that. This is such a cool watch, and with such a unique dial. I want to talk about one of the reasons I think this watch works so well for me, and it's a reissue that doesn't have a date. Now, I think it's Longines just did the Big Eye that I'm really, really excited about, that chronograph, but this is a quartz chronograph that is a reissue that doesn't have a date window. Now, it's so funny to get so excited about that, because there's so many watches out there, especially reissues, so many watches that I really like. And I'm really upset that they put a date window on it. It doesn't make any sense. They do it because they think they'll sell more watches, or people will go, oh, that looks interesting. It has to have a date on it so I can check it every day. And for a quartz watch, I can understand that. But, you know, a lot of reissues that are mechanical have date windows. And I think that Omega doing the C Master 300 that's so close to the original that they did scans, they fabricated it so it looks exactly like the original. I think that was a step in so much in the right direction that, you know, this is going in that direction, even though this is a quartz watch. And I will say that I like that this watch has its original bracelet. It's very close. They didn't up the size of the bracelet. They kept it 20 millimeters, just like the original, which was really cool. It makes the watch look a little bit bigger, but I wouldn't have bought it. If it had a wider band on it, I probably wouldn't have bought this watch, because it would just look like a larger version of the original. It wouldn't look like its own watch. It's very close, but it's just such a unique piece, and that's what I'm really looking forward to, is a unique piece. The size is going to be a huge problem for people, but as I've read on the forums, on the watch forums, people have mentioned the idea that the movement is designed in such a way that the subdials could not be closer, or if they were, it would be a cramped design. And it's funny, if you look at the original, the slip dials do look a little bit too close. They almost look like they could use a little bit more room, but that's just the way that the original watch was designed, unfortunately. They could have changed it. But this piece is so unique, and I think that's what's really that's what's getting me about it, is how unique it is, and how different it is. And I before I close out, I want to say that this is really odd. Bulova gives you this tool, very, very strange. It is a screwdriver, but I don't understand what you're supposed to do with this. It's really nice. It has the the logo company, and it's actually like engraved on the side. You can feel it, it's really nice. I don't understand what you do with this. You can't size the bracelet with this because it's too thick. It won't. I tried. It won't fit on the links. And are you supposed to change straps with this? I don't know why they gave this in the case. I have no idea. I would love to ask them if I ever had the chance to. Other than, unfortunately, these are sold in department stores. So people who are selling these watches don't know much about them, or they don't care to. And I'm sure there's people out there who really do know what they're doing, and they really love selling these things. But I'm just saying, from my experience, that's usually not the case. But this is a really cool watch. It's a little expensive for what you're getting, because you are getting a quartz watch. It's probably one of the most expensive watches that Bulova sells. I really like it a lot. I think it's a step in the right direction. I think that I could do tons of videos on reissues. Bulova is going to do more reissues. They're probably going to do their 666 diver that everyone loves so much. They're oddly cased. Kind of looks like a Doxa diver watch that Bulova made with really crazy circular indices that go against the crystal. They're going to do more reissues. Will they do a reissue of this version 2 automatic? I don't think so. Or if they're going to do a chronograph, it's not going to be for another year or two. At least 2 years. It's not like they're just going to jump back into the automatic or watch game or mechanical. And if they do, it's going to be a huge price. It's going to be a huge premium for it. And on top of that, it's going to be with ETA movements. Nothing special really. But that being said, I would be excited if they redid this as an automatic watch, smaller to the more original standards. I would be first in line to get one. I don't know if I would still own this one, but on its own, how it stands today, how it is, it's very, 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 very large. But I really, really like it a lot. So please, I'd probably make another video about this watch or about reissues in general, because there's so much that can be said. It's really interesting. I'm really excited about this. Thanks for watching.